Greetings, it's DC mayoral candidate Rhonda Hamilton, and as I promised you, we're going to do this daily. How are you today? Well, overhauling the overall systems are going to take consistent work and effort and focus. I want you to know that I am also a small business owner. I am the broker of Waterfront Insurance Network here in the district. We're also licensed in other areas to sell insurance, but most importantly, I wanted to address our small business owners of the district. In the effort of overhauling our overall systems, it is so important that as your new mayor, I want you to understand that I will definitely have a focus on our small business community. They're struggling. I understand the pandemic was hard to us all as a city and as a people, but most importantly, our small businesses were pushed out. I also understand that when government doesn't work for all, what happens is we have gatekeeping that goes on. Many of our small business owners understand what that means. What is a gatekeeper? A gatekeeper is someone designed to keep you out, or someone that's only going to tell you specific information so that you're not in the know of the whole understanding. The lack of transparency in our current district government must end. To all of my beautiful small business owners out there, I want you to know that overhauling the overall systems will also include the reality of inviting you all back to the table, listening to find out what it is that you specifically need. Many of you are wonderful resources in your communities and have been for many years. Shame on our district for ignoring the important role that you all play in the fabric of what should be a city that takes care of all. So as your new mayor, I want you all to know that these grant processes, these understandings of making sure that you get the adequate resources and confirming for you all that the corporate dollar will never be too big, that we will ignore the needs of our small business community. I recognize that. I am also a small business owner. And I also want you to know that I am a beautiful daughter of a very wonderful military soldier. My dear father, Ronald David Williams, he served in the Army. And just before I was born, he was 18 years of age, a soldier that went off to fight for his country. He came back with a drug addiction. Heroin is what we recognize it as, because now we talk about opioids, but it's important that we recognize that the research and the terminology and all of the wonderful focus was not as strong back when he came back from the military and he suffered with what we now know to be PTSD. But it's most important that I recognize that as a daughter of the military, it is important to point out that our veterans don't have what they need here in the nation's capital. Imagine that. Going off to represent your country and coming home and having to stand in line for housing that doesn't happen, having issues emotionally where you end up homeless and you don't have access to the resources you need. The Am I Mother's Keeper organization that we started many years back, we were able to help many of our military community members connect with our dear Congresswoman Norton here to help her to understand that our veterans were suffering, not only from housing and the need for comprehensive mental health services, but most importantly, their medical needs were not being met. And we take too much for granted, assuming that the government is taking care of our co-neighbors, co-workers, and our fellow Washingtonians. It is time to get back to government for all. There are too many citizens in this nation's capital that are suffering. I want you to know, as your future mayor, I have it all on my radar. So when I say overhaul the overall systems, I want you to know that I have intricately, along with my beautiful, beautiful leaders and community organizations, we have been out there fighting the good fight. But it is time to elevate that fight to make sure that the government for Washington, D.C. operates with the proper levels of accountability, proper level of transparency. Make sure that they're being sincere to our fellow Washingtonians. It is not okay to have gatekeepers keeping so many out of the system. It is time, DC. 4 more years of the same will be harmful to members of our military community, our small business community, and we've already talked about the need for comprehensive mental health. So I want you to know that overall, these systems need to be replaced, revamped, audited, you name it. They're just not working for far too many Washingtonians. So as your future mayor, we're going to continue to have this conversation, just as I promised you we would, through November 8th and far and long afterwards. We didn't get here overnight, and it's going to take work for us to fix what this current administration would have you to believe are not issues. I'm Rhonda Hamilton. I'm asking you to write me in on November the 8th so that we can go to work day one. That's Rhonda, RHONDA Hamilton. I am DC. You are DC. And all of the much wonderful work that we've done needs to continue from the community level all the way down to the governmental officials, our dear council, and every other accountable elected official in this town. Remember, that's Rhonda Hamilton, RHONDA. I'm asking you to write me in on November the 8th so that we can go to work taking care of our beautiful city. Let them know change is happening. Talk to you soon.